Okay, we're back here at Shaw's Garage. It's winter time before the 2025 Southeast Gasser season. We're doing a little engine freshen up and tweaking, as you always have to do, chasing a little more ET. And this is our 311 cubic inch small block Ford, Cleveland headed, of course. You've seen other videos about this engine. We have two engines. One's aluminum headed and one's cast iron headed. This is the aluminum headed engine. And we've got it apart. We sent the heads to our head porter to do some work on filling intake ports, matching intake, just doing some things, squeeze a little more power out of it. And as we're looking into the health of this engine, this is some of the things that we're finding. I'm gonna try to get this lit. I'm having a video by myself today, and I want you to see this intake pocket right here. See that area right there? That's where the valve's tagging it. And then if you'll look, you see that dark mark around that eyebrow, and then you can see it. There's another one in there. To get it focused, you can see where the valve's tagged it. You can see that mark around it. And if you look close, pretty much at every one of these pistons, those are probably the two worst ones, but they've all got some witness marks. And it's pretty amazing. This motor had about 25 passes on it last year because we messed with our iron-headed motor quite a bit last year, but and I did not assemble this motor. This motor came from a professional engine shop the last time it was put together, and obviously the clearances aren't quite what they should be, but I personally saw this motor make 712 horsepower on the dyno at 9,400 RPM. I personally launched this thing last year at 10,000 RPM and shipped Ben, of course, drove it quite a bit and slung the guts out of it. And how an engine is able to do this and not destroy itself is amazing to me. Now, this is not good. I'm glad we didn't run a long season with it, because this starts to cause problems. But our head porter did not find anything wrong with any of the valve train. Valves were good. Everything straight, springs were good, locks, retainers, everything looked great. We've looked at a few bearings, they look fine. And I think what has happened here, because the head guy called me and told me that he saw witness marks on the heads up in the chambers where the eyebrows of the pistons were hitting. So we've got evidence on both surfaces. But I think what probably has happened because of that, as that piston comes up to the top stroke and that eyebrow hits up in that chamber, it's all rounded. Well, it kicks the piston over closer to where the valve is at. Now, I know the valve is not opening at top stroke. That's not what I'm saying. But if that piston gets kicked over as it starts on the downward stroke, then when it does come close to the valve at about 10 degrees or whatever it is, then, with the amount of piston rock you have, it takes up that radial clearance right there. And that's caused it to want to tag those valves a little bit. So anyway, that's my theory. So anyway, there were some clearances in this motor that were not as they should be. We're going to try to correct that. I've already had the cylinder head porter to do some extra clearancing where the eyebrow goes up into the cylinder head, into the combustion chamber. And then today, I'm going to once again, you've seen me do it before, tape an engine up and cut a hole at each piston and get in here with a carbide burr and some sanding rolls and open those eyebrows up just a little bit. Oh, we're getting ready to have a CAT scan. That's our cat Odie checking things out. But anyway, I'm going to try to clearance all that today and then get this engine ready to reassemble. Okay, so finally got all 8 of these pistons clearanced. You can kind of see what I did. I touched opposite sides, intake on that, exhaust on that side, and I think we'll be fine now with the other clearancing we've done. So I want to show you real quick. These are our cylinder heads and intake, and you can see how much we have filled the ports since this motor has been run before. Now this motor ran good, and you know the truck performed well, but you know we're still a couple tenths off where we need to be, and this engine just did not make the torque it should make at the right place. It would lay over almost on the gear shifts, and when you pulled fourth gear, it's almost like, in fact, we thought for quite a while we had a fuel starvation issue. It would just sort of just lay over, it just wouldn't pull, and these ports were way too big. I mean, you can see all of the epoxy. They were open before, all the way down to, you know, the line and the aluminum, and it would have been great. I mean, these heads flowed good. They would have been great for 400 cubic inches. But anyway, and you can see we've clearance some where the eyebrows were touching, and we've had fresh valve job, and all the springs and everything have been checked, and of course they're titanium valves and retainers. Springs are quite stiff, but they have to be for the kind of RPM that we turn. Dwayne Bush at Bush Racing in Statesville, North Carolina, did this work for us, and I tell you, he's a steely-eyed missile man as far as I'm concerned. I've seen him do some crazy stuff and really make some Fords run. Anyway, here's the intake, and of course it's had a bunch of work down in it, and then also the ports are matched where it bolts up. So this should really pick up air velocity, which is going to help with torque, and hopefully it'll wake this little motor up even better. Like I say, it made good horsepower numbers, but it just did not make the torque, and that's what we need to get down the track like we're, you know, in stick shift racing like we're doing. So anyway, I may cut this video off here. All we've got left to do now is just stick this back together, stick the cam in, and degree it. We'll probably clay one cylinder just to make sure everything clears well, and we should be fine now after what we've done. And we've had our cam reground a little bit too, and it's just a little bit tamer. So I think we'll be in good shape now. Hopefully this motor will serve us well throughout the season while we're working on getting our cast iron headed motor done. So anyway, thanks for watching.